Hello, everyone. This is Akhier, and we've got some more SCP Foundation. It's actually, well, as the light on my face might tip some people off, this isn't quite nighttime yet. This will be the second time I'm recording this, mostly because I was a bit of a forgetful lad, and the recording didn't record right. Oops. Oh well. No surprise for me. We are doing 354, the Red Pool. I'm forgetting. Oh, right. I'm also going to mention that I'm going to try to do some of the shorter SCPs. I've got a few that Oh, right. This is one of the... I was looking around my pop filter to see the actual screen. This is the week for well, this is a favorite, as in a SCP entry where either I remember it or people like it. This is the slot where if you wanted to suggest me to do a specific SCP, along with liking and subscribing, you can also just comment below with an SCP that you would like me to do. And I do not guarantee that I will. However, I would be more inclined to during this period because I do old, new, fave. Or some cycle of that. Also, I'm going to try to do some SCP shorts because I have short entries where it's not really a full one. In particular, my very first SCP video, which was more of a just, this is the SCP, let me read the rules and stuff for it and ramble on a lot. I also at the very end did 173, the sculpture, Peanut himself, though the actual image that I grew up with is gone because of copyright reasons, which, fair enough. It wasn't their image to use, and it kind of sucks that they got to use it for so long and then all of a sudden couldn't, but that's life. Anyway, I think I'll actually make my first short of that because it's really short. So it'd be good to have an actual entry for it. Yeah, 354, the red... Oh, dang it. I did this last time and I did it this time. Need to get my controller because this is how I control my mouse scroll wheel. There we go. My mouse scroll wheel is still a bit jank. I haven't bothered trying to fix it or anything because I honestly don't use the scroll wheel much when I'm at the computer. Anyway. Skip 354, Object Class Keter. Due to Skip 354's immobile nature, Area 354 has been built around it. Area 354 houses forces and D-Class personnel prepared to deal with threats emerging from Skip 354, as well as researchers studying Skip 354 and its properties. For their own safety, no on-site personnel are to approach Skip 354 at any time. Direct interaction with Skip 354 is permitted only for the purposes of research to eliminate Skip 354 and must be approved by O5 personnel. Area 354 was constructed to contain and neutralize any and all further threats emerging from Skip 354. At the heart of Area 354, a 20-foot wall of concrete reinforced with beta expunged has been constructed around Skip 354 to prevent emerging entities from escaping into the area at large. High-speed motion detection cameras are placed atop the walls looking down into the pool, and armed guards can easily shoot down into the enclosure from catwalks placed above the pool. Skip 354 is a pool of red liquid discovered in northern Canada. The liquid is of a consistency similar to that of human blood, hence the colloquial name blood pond. But it is not of biological nature. The pool does not have definite banks. Soil mixes with liquid until, at a certain point, there's more soil than liquid, and the ground is mostly solid. Liquid becomes denser as one descends deeper into the pool. If the pool has a bottom, it has yet to be reached. Periodically, entities emerge from the pool and attempt to escape from the enclosure. Thus far, nearly all creatures emerging from Skip 354 have been extremely hostile and highly dangerous. Skip 354 is believed to have been first discovered in blank by survivors of a plane crash who encountered Skip 354 by chance. Skip 354 had developed into a local urban legend long before Foundation personnel arrived to deal with the threat. After locating the source of the legend, SCP personnel set up the watch station Epsilon 38 to monitor the pool and to deter future travelers from finding it. Skip 354 was classified as Euclid till its properties were further discovered. At 14:03 hours on blank, an unidentified entity emerged from Skip 354. Contact with Watch Station Epsilon 38 was lost. Mobile Task Force blank was dispatched to deal with the entity and were eventually successful. All personnel at Watch Station Epsilon 38 were found dead. Area 354 was subsequently constructed to contain Skip 354. And now, document 354-1-A. Partial log of entities to have emerged from Skip 354 prior to event 354-20. 1. Original entity which destroyed Watch Station Epsilon 38 resembled a giant bat neutralized by Mobile Task Force blank. Bear-sized mammalian creature covered in razor-sharp spines. Resembled an echidna. Was virtually bulletproof, but was unable to escape the enclosure surrounding the pool. Neutralized via napalm. Burn it. Black metallic sphere capable of levitation. Emitted concentrated levels of radiation in precisely directed beams sufficient to instantly cripple and later result in death. Then area head Dr. Blank struck Skip 354-3 with a sledgehammer, disabling it. Skip 354-3 then self-detonated, causing minor structural damage and severely wounding Dr. Blank. Dr. Blank made a full recovery and has been commended for his bravery. 4. Reptilian humanoid creature, approximately 4.6 meters, 15 feet, tall. Escaped both the walled enclosure and Area 354 altogether. Gunfire caused very little physical harm and was highly ineffective. Mobile Task Force Omega-7 Pandora's Box was dispatched and was successful in neutralizing the creature. 5. Data expunged. 6. Appeared to be a human male of Indian descent. As the enclosure around the pool had not yet been fully repaired, Skip 354-6 was immediately shot before it had a chance to escape. Area head Dr. Blank has expressed his displeasure in the rash execution of Skip 354-6, which testing revealed to be identical to an average human being. Data corrupt. 14. Majority of creature's body remained well beneath the surface of the pool. 5. Octopus-like tentacles were seen emerging from the pool and reached up over the enclosure. Several D-class personnel were grabbed by the tentacles and then pulled back beneath the surface of the pool. After receiving massive damage from gunfire, Skip 354-14 retreated back into the pool and disappeared. No personnel taken by the creature were recovered. 15. A feline creature composed of blue-hued crystalline structure later revealed to be ice. Was able to jump above the wall enclosure and was agile enough to dodge most gunfire. Was actively hostile and mauled any personnel that engaged it. Subject engaged 16 upon its emergence from the pool and was terminated in the fight. Number 16. A feline creature composed of red-black stone, later revealed to be partially solidified magma. Gunfire proved mostly ineffective against its hide. Was not hostile to personnel and did not attempt to escape the wall enclosure until being engaged by 15. Successful terminated 15 and grew less active as its body cooled. Well, after fully solidifying and having remained motionless since, subject was moved to Dr. Blank's office for aesthetic purposes. 18. Metallic humanoid machine described by several D-class personnel as a Terminator. Subject possessed a cloaking device rendering it invisible to human eyes. Subject was highly adept at combat and killed nearly 90% of Area 354's guards personnel as it rampaged through the facility. Approximately 16 minutes after emerging from the pool, subject ceased function and powered down. Subject was dismantled and its power cell was disposed of. Subject's remains are under study. Note from area head Dr. Blank. That's thrice now that we've had to fall back on Pandora's box to deal with stuff coming out of Skip 354. Abel can't complain, though. You can tell he's enjoying fighting 354-11. Maybe we should set up some kind of hotline to them. Did I already note it? Yes, I already noted it down. Abel is another skip, and I have it wrote down as 76, which I'll assume I got correct. Anyway, we have the document 354-3-A. Log of Exploratory Mission 354 Alpha. See the log for details. So we will. Oop, at the bottom. Should have expected that. That one was at the bottom, so why wouldn't this one be? And we are Exploratory Mission 354 Alpha. Personal log of Dr. Blank. Our expedition to explore Skip 354, that gaping wound in the middle of Canada, has finally been accepted. The R&D boys have come up with what can only be described as a submarine with a drill on it. We know that the pool gets denser as you go down, so we suspect that at some point we won't be sinking so much as digging. Hence the huge mining device built onto it. It's not hydrodynamic at all, but we're not really going swimming here. My gut tells me that there's something on the other side of the red pool, and just like digging down to China, all we have to do is dig down to it. Ha ha! Had a nice long debate with 05 blank over who's allowed to come. I wanted MTF. I don't know the Greek letters very well. I read this earlier, but it's not on screen for me to refer back to. But the squad was 76 able. I wanted them to come with us for protection, or at least, this is where I learned the number last time, or at least skip 76, but they won't allow it. Despite the massive damages he continues to cause, they still see him as too valuable to risk losing. Not that he's, immortal or anything. Maybe they just don't have the guts to ask him to go exploring. Mackler, that ass, wanted us to take Skip Blank with us, but I wouldn't allow it. The file says Skip Blank was just born before he came through, so he'd be useless as a guide. He might be of some use as security, but that's mostly canceled out by the fact that he's data expunged. He'd probably just blankety blank, blank, blank anyway. The final crew complement, apart from myself, consists of 3 agents, 2 D-class personnel, 1 geologist, and some guy from R&D who's going to pilot ship. I've already forgotten all their names. Day 1. Rotten sort of day to begin a mission. Rumor has it that last night there was a total containment breach in some area or other. And then it turns out that there's no coffee allowed anywhere inside of Area 354 for some reason or other. And the whole mission almost ended in disaster when it turns out they almost forgot to load their extra fuel on board. Who the fuck is running the show around here? Anyway, we're now underway. For a while there, I had a definite feeling of going downward, but now we're dropping much more slowly. Marty, that's the R&D guy's name, says we're sinking at a rate of 10 meters an hour. Apparently at this depth, the red pool is pretty damn dense. Day 2. Nothing of interest happened, but I learned everyone's name. We have Marty, our pilot, Agent Swanson, Agent Turquoise, Agent 86, Dr. J. MacArthur, Chris Simons, and Leroy Tucker. Whoop de frickin' do. Day 3. At about 4:30 a.m., gravity suddenly changed direction. Boy, that was fun way to wake up. We're now rising rather than sinking, which means we're more than halfway there. Day 4. We've reached the surface, though through the portholes it's mostly dark, which means it's night. We can't go out yet because, for all we know, the atmosphere could be hydrochloric acid. We've got a shitload of sensors outside the ship analyzing a bunch of stuff. Whether the air is breathable, what kind of airborne bacteria we have to deal with, and simple stuff like temperature. We'll know in 8 hours whether it's safe for human life out there. Day 5. Turns out the air is totally safe, except it's been night for going on 28 hours now? What's going on? Day 6. Dawn finally came. The sun was huge and red. I'm a biologist, but I know enough about astronomy to know that we're orbiting a totally different star. Is this a different time, a different place, or a different dimension? Leroy guessed that we're in another plane of existence, and I think he's probably closest. The pool on this side is way bigger, more like a large pond or maybe a small lake. The banks are more defined than on our side as well. We took an inflatable raft to the shore. Marty and Simon stayed behind and headed north. The ground here, or at least around the pool, is mostly devoid of plant life. The only green we saw was a sort of fuzzy moss growing on the ground around that looked more like a kind of mold. The ground is a grayish tan dirt that's like a mixture of sand and flour. MacArthur said it was some mineral or another. I forgot what he called it. I half expected all of our electronics not work out here, but that wasn't the first thing to fail. After about 2 hours of hiking across the flat, boring ground, the compass suddenly changed direction. Now it's pointing to what we had previously thought to be east. Evidently this planet's magnetics, is it even a planet, don't work the same way ours do. Not wanting to risk getting lost, we immediately made a 180 and headed back to the ship. I could have sworn that the trip back was less than half as long as the trip out. Tomorrow we'll work out the way of navigation that doesn't rely on the campus being sane. Now, I didn't actually confirm this but I have a vague memory of the fact that there's actually places on the planet where this kind of screwiness can happen with compasses. It's mostly an area where you have a large ore deposit, which has picked up a natural magnetic charge of its own, so that, it's not that the planet's magnetic sphere is wonky. It's just sort of like if you have an actual magnet and you put it near your compass, the compass is obviously going to point away from that magnet. You're just a much weaker source. It's just locally stronger than the planet as a whole. I wonder if there's a place like that nearby. Anyway. Day 7. Lousy night's sleep. The sun never went down. By my calculations, the day-night cycle here seems to last about 43 and a half hours as opposed to 24 hours back home. That's going to take some getting used to. We agreed on a system of navigation. Firstly, we're going to travel only in a straight line to make sure that we can get back to the ship by simply turning around and heading in the other direction. Unless we encounter some kind of unnavigable jungle, we should be fine. Secondly, Marty's rigged a radio beacon thing. I don't really remember his explanation, but if we're anywhere within 800 miles, his little gizmo will be able to tell us exactly which direction to go to get back and how far. More talking about stuff. He's talking about traveling in a straight line like that's easy. In a strange turn of events, actually doing a straight line for a long distance isn't as easy as you'd expect. There's a reason why orienteering as a skill is a skill and not just, well, here's the compass, there's the direction, we'll just keep walking that way. Especially since any error in direction, especially when you are walking hours, is going to immensely just alter how you're going to be. Let's see. Yeah, like, so this is the direction you're supposed to go if you are going there. Like, my hand barely moved. And it's like just the tiniest bit that way instead of that way. Except, as you keep going, eventually they're going to come apart, with this one just ending up way over there. So, yeah. Not always the easiest. You can train to be better at it. Oh, and if we're within 800 miles, and literally they just were like, oh, it felt like we took half the time to get back. So maybe there's some wonkiness there that maybe the 800 miles isn't enough distance. Also, sun in the eyes. Hard to read. Probably the reason why I read at night. Need better lighting. Anyway, day 9. We set out a few hours before the sun was scheduled to rise. When we got to the shore, we found that the green moss stuff was everywhere. It had grown in mass significantly. My guess is the stuff shrivels up in the sun during the day and expands at night to suck in nutrients or something. We decided we didn't want to walk through it, so we went back and waited for sunrise. Sun came up and we set out again. Excuse me. It is very late early for me. The moss stuff was back to its smaller state. It just occurred to me that there's been no wind at all in this place. The result is dead silence. I'm not ashamed to admit that the overall emptiness of this place is pretty scary. We found an area with none of the moss stuff for 100 feet around and decided to camp for the night. The sun is still up, but it's time for us humans to sleep, so I'm calling it night. Day 10. Sometime in the night, which was really daytime, fuck, it was gonna get confusing, we were all awoken by some kind of roar. You remember what the T-Rex sounded like in that old movie, Jurassic Park? It sounded a lot like that. Big and reptilian. It was so loud that I was certain whatever was making it couldn't be more than 20 feet away. But when we all got out of our tents, we didn't see anything. The whole area is so flat, we'd see any sort of animal within half a mile or so. But there was nothing. Fucking scary. We packed up camp and continued on. After a while, we stopped seeing the moss stuff. Maybe it only grows around the red pool. And the ground became rockier. In the distance, the land seemed to grow more hilly. I think I see trees. Day 11. The bare ground has ended. Now we're walking across a vast field of beautiful green grass. It almost looks like a well-mown lawn. The grass seems ordered enough until Turquoise tripped over a rock and arose to find his hand covered with several dozen bloody pinpricks. Apparently the tips of a blade of this grass is incredibly sharp and easily punctures the skin. It's no threat to our Foundation issue boots, but we must be careful not to fall on it. We came to a tiny stream, really no more than a trickle. Swanson suggested we could refill our canteens, but Leroy and MacArthur want to check the water for something or other first. MacArthur took some equipment and after a few minutes announced that it was not water, but liquid carbon dioxide. CO2 is usually a gas at this temperature, and it's never a liquid. The laws of physics don't seem to be working right. Day 14. Haven't had time to record anything for a few days. We made it to an area sparsely populated by trees. The grass there was withered and brown, and not sharp enough to pierce the skin anymore. The trees were ordinary, looked like birch, but the leaves were wrong. At some point we lost Swanson. This place is so quiet that none of us really feel comfortable talking, so we have no idea when we lost him. There's a good 8-hour window where he could have gone missing. We called to him, but none of us wanted to split up to look for him. During the night, a tree fell on 86's tent. He wasn't hurt, and none of the gear was damaged, although the tent got mangled beyond repair. 86 swears that the tree hadn't been that close when he pitched the thing, and none of us could tell what caused it to fall. The trunk just snapped. We all agreed not to pitch our tent anywhere near a tree from now on. The next day, which was really nighttime, we heard the same roar from a few days ago. It sounded exactly the same as before, and again we have no idea what made the sound, and none of us can even agree which direction it came from. Then it started to rain. We all pitched our tents for the night, this time a whole lot closer together than we had before. The nearest tree is about 300 feet away. MacArthur confirmed that it was actually rain and not more CO2 bullshit, and we set up this funnel thing to fill our canteens. Leroy donated his tent to Agent 86, and I offered to share mine since it's a little bigger than the other guys. I asked Leroy what he did to wind up as a D-class. He said he raped a couple of people. I think he might have been trying to freak me out, but who knows. Anyway, he's one of the most well-behaved D-classes I've ever met, so I don't think he's going to, say, assault me in my sleep. Day 17. Good God, the rain has finally stopped. Everything is soaking wet, including us, except for the ground. After that much water, you'd expect it to be muddy as all hell, but the ground beneath the grass is barely damp at all. Perhaps the plants absorb moisture from the ground more efficiently than the ones back home. We're setting out again. Perhaps the rain awakened some animal life. Data corrupt. Xi'an log, day 25. What seems to be a huge cliff in the distance turned out to be an artificially constructed wall. It's made of solid rusty iron, and it stands maybe 50 feet high. To the left and to the right, it goes on farther than the eye can see. I can't imagine how thick it is. We have no way around it. We'll have to go over it or through it. We may camp for the night, and we'll work out what to do in the morning. Day 26. Leroy jerry-rigged some kind of blowtorch thing with our equipment. I swear, this guy is fucking MacGyver. We cut a hole in the wall in the iron wall, big enough for us to go through. Turns out it's only about a quarter of an inch thick. But there's another wall behind it with less than a foot between. Apparently this thing has multiple layers. Leroy cut through 8 of them before we finally made it out to the other side. The grass on this side is black. Not burnt or anything, just different color. And finally there's some wind. I was getting tired of data corrupt. Water break. Stay hydrated. Concluded that coming here was a mistake. We have to turn back. Day 39. We passed through the second barrier, and we're back to the weird place with the black grass. I half expected the hole Leroy cut through it to seal it up or something, but it was still there. Thank God, or whoever runs the show on this world. I don't think MacArthur is going to make it through the night. Well, that's a lot of blood. We woke to find that MacArthur had crossed. We didn't want to do it, but we had no choice but to terminate him. A6 said that something back home might be able to help him, and he may have been right, but we couldn't afford to have him slow us down. We have a few more days data cropped. A48. We made it back to the ship with only an hour or two to spare. The first thing they asked us was what the fuck happened to Swanson, Turquoise, MacArthur, and 86, as the few dead team members are our biggest problems right now. Marty has us underway, and we're definitely sinking. I just hope they don't. Data cropped. End of log. This document was discovered in the Central Foundation database. No such mission to explore Skip 354 had yet been suggested or approved. No record of any personnel mentioned in this log exists. The log's origin is unknown. Having read this again, my guess on what's up with the log is that clearly the blood pool, the red pool, when you go through it, you're going to a different dimension. So either what's happening is after a certain time it shuffles where it goes, or as they were going through they got destroyed and their logs ended up making it through. They as a last ditch effort they went and broadcast, and it just kind of got shot out. And maybe this is in a lot of SCP foundations mysteriously. Frog in my throat. Anyway, back to here. Note from area head Dr. Blank. It has been 22 months since the last entity emerged from the pool. Before this, the longest period of time between emergences was 8 months. I suspect this means one of two things. Either the red pool has died or powered down, or the correct term for it is charging up for something big to come through. O5 believes the former is the most likely explanation and has recalled 30% of our total personnel and cut 25% of our funding. While I can only hope that they are correct, the latter situation is true. We're soon to face some terrible monstrosity, and we won't have anywhere near the forces necessary to deal with it. I worry for all of our safety. Event log 354-20. In the morning of data expunged, the entire staff of Area 354 excavated the facility. However, the staff also shut down power to the area and took a number of supplies and vehicles from the facility, indicating that the excavation had not been due to an emergency. Mobile Task Force Theta was dispatched to investigate the cause of the excavation and, if possible, make contact with area staff. However, when MTF Theta 12 could make contact with Area 354 or its evacuees, the area's on-site warhead was detonated, resulting in the destruction of the entire facility and the deaths of data expunged. MTF Theta 12 was ordered to make contact with the excavated personnel, and in the event of hostility was given clearance to terminate any uncooperative personnel. A large convoy of vehicles taken from Area 354 was spotted heading southward from Area 354 at high speed. Final audio logs from MTF Theta 12 indicate that the convoy was made up of Area 354 staff and that the previous chain of command had broken down in its entirety, with armed D-class personnel and research personnel firing upon MTF Theta 12. MTF Theta 12 was annihilated, and no further contact with the former personnel of Area 354 has been made since. The problem with recording it again is that my throat's all worn out from the first time. 354-5. Following the total destruction of Area 354, the Red Pool containment site was constructed in its place. Basic map of the new facility can be found in blankety blank and blankety blank. Unlike the previous facility, which was focused on research and neutralization of entities emerging from SCP 354, the new facility is devoted entirely to the containment of SCP 354 and entities which may emerge from it, as well as any unforeseen forces which may create directly, which it may create directly, the pool itself. This is largely to the advisement of the new site head, blank, or data expunge this time, not blank, who believes that the events of log 354-20 were the result of a psychic or mental attack generated by the SCP 354 itself. Interview regarding data expunged. Dr. Blank. Is it alright if I record this? Agent Blank. Go ahead. Good. So, let's start at the beginning. What happened at the Red Pool containment site? Looking back now, it seems strange that nobody ever suggested draining the pool. When Dr. Blank came up with it, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Exactly what about the idea was so appealing? It was a way out. That SCP entry, I read what it says. It's a joke. Makes it seem like we have the pool under control. I take it you do not? There's a half-meter slab of reinforced concrete in place over the pool. Yet every time some beast tries to come through, somehow it manages to get loose into the building. People die every single time. I have seen data expunged. A man's own intestines. Can you imagine what that looks like, old man? So to you, and of course to the other people stationed at the Red Pool containment site as well, draining the pool seemed like a fine solution to the suffering caused by SCP 354. The chair scrapes as the agent stands up. Suffering? That thing doesn't just... Please, sit down. This is going on record. He pauses as the agent sits. So, O5 approved the draining of SCP 354. Then what happened? They evacuated the non-essential personnel to a location a couple kilometers away, leaving just basic defense crew and the people who run the equipment, mostly D-class, plus a few agents to keep things going. And you were among those agents? Yes. How did they go about draining the pool? Tech guys brought in this big pump thing with all these hoses. We retracted the slab, but? Have you ever had a dream where it seemed so real, but you know you were dreaming, and it felt like you had to wake up to escape from it? I can't say I have. Yes, you have. We all have. That's what it felt like when they put the hose in to try to drain it. Everything stopped being real. It was like we had to escape right now. And you were the only one feeling this sensation? No, everyone had it at the same time. It came from the fucking pool. Please, lower your voice. What happened when they activated the pump? We never did. We couldn't. It wouldn't let us. What wouldn't let you? The pool. Please. Please. I ask you to lower your voice. Up until now, it's been content to just throw monsters at us. It's been playing. But now we locked it up and we just tried to execute it. Now it's angry. Guards, please restrain the agent. My buddy measured its bank once and compared them to the photos from its first discovery. You know what he found? Agent grabs Doctor. Guards! It's growing. The pool is growing. It's bigger and stronger every day, and now we made it angry. Get your hands off. Sedate him. We'll continue this in the morning if he's lucid by then. Well, that was fun. Gotta keep the throat moist. Anyway, one thing I noticed in particular I had a few theories going in, but most of them were mostly just, well, honestly, upon rereading it, the theories kind of died a little bit. But here, this right here, have you ever had a dream where it seemed so real, but you knew you were dreaming and it felt like you had to wake up to escape from it? That is something being directly from the pool. Now, they are ascribing sapience or sentience to the pool. I do not necessarily take that to be true. Not necessarily that there isn't an intelligence behind what's happening, because one of the things that came through was described as the last one that I have here. Number 18. It was described as a Terminator. And given how it's described, clearly the idea here is it's a Terminator from the Terminator franchise. And then before that, a couple back, you had the two cats. One of ice and one of magma. Like, there is clearly some sort of entity behind how things are going. Or is there? Because if we go back down to here, where he talks about the dream feeling, like, on one hand, like, sure, you're like, I said like 3 times there, and that's too many. In some ways, you will think of it, oh, of course, there's a pattern here. You've got the cats, you've now got the Terminator. Well, there's clearly something behind it. However, with how this is put here, what if it's not an active defense? It's just you've broken the hold it has over itself as just like a natural phenomena. And this is making you realize that it is a unrealistic space it's connected to. A dream, basically. And where it's like, he's like, this is a dream, but it's so real. The act of putting the hose in it, an intent to drain it, basically caused the feeling from the other side to come through. We also have over here this big old mission that didn't happen. Now, I'd be willing to put it under some kind of like multiple dimension theory where they were going and then they come back, and moving through is actually moving through dimensions. So they ended up like just blasting out the logs, which went to a bunch of foundations, or they crossed through a barrier, and instead of bringing back to the original, it brought them back to someone else's, which is where we're reading this. But there's just it's really interesting, and while it has some really nice little hooks to pick at, I can't really place it, which is fun. It's a mystery, and some things should be that way. Anyway, once again, please like and subscribe, ring the bell, because YouTube hates telling you when people you follow create stuff. And this is Akhier, and I'm signing off.